Welcome back, everybody, to the DC New 52 review. I want to thank you for tuning into this episode. I am your host, as always, Pauly DC, and let's get into another one of these things. Today, I will discuss Stormwatch Vol.1. It was titled The Dark Side, and it was written by Paul Cornell with art by Miguel Sepulveda, and the first 6 issues were released between November 2011 to April of 2012. The Stormwatch team debuted under that name in their own series March 1993 by Jim Lee and Brandon Choi. The roster since then varied in the dozens, crossing over with other Wildstorm titles such as Wildcats and The Authority. Now, because of that former company's characters getting a ton of recognition in the New 52, this revamped team became quite important early on, with its members popping up in various other series for many a reason. Those opening members were Martian Manhunter, or John Jones, the most well-known character to me, having been around since Detective Comics number 225, November 1955, by Joseph Samachson and Joe Certa. An always mysterious individual, also a big team guy, or alien, showing up in the Justice League of America and Justice League United, plus a brief unseen stint with the regular Justice League. And then there's Jenny Quantum, created by Mark Miller and Frank Quietly in The Authority number 13, May 2000. A young girl that's part of the Century Babies like Jenny Sparks, Jenny Freedom, and Jenny Soul, living 100 years exactly with immense ranges of powers. JQ is pretty much one of those characters you leave unknown, so she can do whatever you need, whenever you need. Next is Angela Spica, the second person to be called the Engineer, and she fits that name, being a nanotech-based robot, having debuted in The Authority number 1, May 1999 by Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch. Moving on to a top 2 favorite member of mine, we've got Jack Hawksmoor. He's got one of the coolest and more creative superpowers out there, being able to symbiotically link to any city, giving him the nickname King of Cities. Just endless content there. He showed up first in Stormwatch number 37, July 1996 by Warren Ellis and Tom Rainey. 2 newcomers would be recruited, and one of them became a favorite comic character for me, Midnighter, whose real name is unknown, but here goes by Lucas Trent. And then there's his partner both in crime fighting and pleasure, Andrew Pulaski, aka Apollo. Both hit the scene in Stormwatch number 4, February 1998 by Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch. One has AI tech in his head, making him an unstoppable fighter and tactician, while the other derives his powers from the sun, sometimes getting put on Superman's level. There were 2 original creations here as well, Adele Benson, or the Projectionist, a lady who can control certain tech, mainly the internet. A bit of a crappy power, but for how secretive Stormwatch was and how they operated, she was sort of needed. And then there's Harry Tanner, better known as the Eminence of Blades, which is another way of saying he's highly skilled with bladed weapons. Lastly, there's the finger quote leader, Adam 1, looking like a groovy Jesus Christ, and if I go into more than that, I'll give up spoilers. So how about I cut the crap with this long ass opening and start the review. Issue number 1 starts with the members all over the place. Engineer Jenny Q and Adam 1 are on the team's hidden base called the Eye of the Storm, which moves through hyperspace in order to stay hidden. And they are discussing where everyone else is, but more importantly, the discovery of a horn that Adam 1 and Jenny Q later find in the Himalayas, with it looking to be a large extraterrestrial horn that apparently has already been blown for some reason. While Jenny teleports it away, Adam 1's words to her seem to indicate that he is more or less immortal and may need his head examined. Engineer was also tracking a threat coming from the moon, and yeah, I'd say it growing a friggin' claw would be cause for concern. So Harry Tanner gets Buzz Aldrin duty, being sent to it where he has to use his special blue blades to fend off newly formed rock monsters, followed up by meeting a giant eyeball in a lunar cave that has quite a bit to say, calling itself the Scourge of Worlds, a being that controls matter, and it is responded to the Mystery Horn so it can try to ready planets for something even it fears. Okay, that's kind of intriguing. The Scourge then mind connects to Harry, with us getting a sneak peek that this title has ties to Demon Knights, along with who rules them now, the Shadow Cabinet. Back to this later because Martian Manhunter, Jack Hawksmoor, and Projectionist are in Moscow trying to recruit Apollo, except he seems to have no interest in joining them. So Jack tries showing off his power, saying Stormwatch is the team you want to be with. And Adele brings up difficult to find but thought-provoking posts about him. Martian Manhunter reveals himself from a human disguise since he can shapeshift, while Apollo decides to take off. I'll say here that his whole ability set is stacked. Super strong, telekinetic, and telepathic powerhouse, density shifting, flight, and a lot more to be revealed. Apollo doesn't make it far before the trio catch up with him, and he tries to fight back but is thwarted by Martian Manhunter in Dune Sandworm form, and just as they all start to talk, Midnighter ambushes the Stormwatch members, taking them down and offering Apollo something different. And with what he says here, this should put any notions or comparisons to Batman away. Issue number 2 takes us all the way back to the Big Bang, where, Adam 1 is born with it and is shown now to be aging backwards, sort of like Merlin in the retelling of the King Arthur story, The Once and Future King by T.H. White. This process has seemed to have made him unstable these days, as said by Engineer, who wishes to usurp his leader position, which he overhears with Jenny Q and throws a challenge out as the three continue to watch the weird lunar activity, but it suddenly stops, causing Jenny to say, "Harry must have done something." Oh, he sure did. Our Eminence has connected mind and body with Scourge of Worlds, getting it to halt on whatever destructive plans it has, until Engineer and Jenny arrive with some tech called a data mine in order to collect Scourgy's knowledge. This forces more Moonrock monsters to try some defense, but Engineer promptly deals with them. Harry is now perceived as a threat, so he reveals he's already been able to harvest all the intel wanted, like Scourge of Worlds was trying to do with him. How exactly was he able to accomplish such a feat aside from just saying some things were rewired? I don't know, and I don't care. This win for him, I suppose, causes SOW to set off a bunch of space rock fragments toward Earth. Speaking of, back down in Moscow, Apollo and Midnighter chat, establishing that they both kill as part of their crime-fighting ways, but then get interrupted by Martian Manhunter, who was pretending to be knocked out so he could eavesdrop. I was gonna say, as badass as Midnighter is, there's no way he took down Manhunter with a pressure point. Adam 1 hits the scene next to say his recruitment piece, first having Projectionist manipulate the media, putting blame of the crazy moon stuff on D-list villain Fox, who seems to be dealt with by Booster Gold and the Justice League International. Yeah, that's as dumb as it sounds. Bigger problems are on the way though when Adele and Jack take notice of the incoming moon pieces, with one striking down near a farm, causing a massive alien monster to rise from it. Yikes. Issue number 3 opens on 2/3 of Stormwatch trying to figure out what to do about the new threats, with Hawksmoor getting solid intel from 3 of the cities that he can psychically speak with: Paris, Metropolis, and Gotham. Again, this is a really cool aspect of his power, each city warranting its own personality and design. Huge creativity opportunity. Apollo is tasked with handling the remaining meteors, where it's revealed he gains his powers from the sunlight, naturally. So while in space, he is supercharged, making quick work of the problem, until one moon rock that looks capable of causing another dinosaur extinction is noticed next. And with really no other choice, Apollo uses all that he's got to destroy it, rendering him unconscious in the process. No one even tries to save the guy as he plummets back toward the Earth. Nice. Harry is seen to be done with the Scourge of Worlds, taking all the info needed, and concludes things by swiftly killing it, just as Jenny Q and Engineer show up to his location so he can get a tad freaky with Angie. Dude was able to trick a highly dangerous alien for his own means, and now looks to be seducing a nanobot human hybrid. Good time to mention that his other moniker is the Prince of Lies, thanks to being a renowned manipulator and persuasionist. The team then reconvenes on the Eye of the Storm to observe their other issue, so minus Apollo and Adele, who has to exhaust a lot of her power to cover up the monster over the interweb and other media sources, everyone heads to Nowhere, Colorado, the somewhere that their alien monster target is. Adam 1 continues to show mental instability once on location, leading to no real strategy being used, just the team trying their own things against the creature, so Midnighter tries to step up, giving orders, except it's too late as he watches his new colleagues be consumed, so their powers can be absorbed, leaving Midnighter alone to take on one hell of a foe. Issue number 4 kicks off with Midnighter staring down the giant monster, now taking on the forms of all other Stormwatch members, who are seen inside of its stomach under some type of stasis. He not only has to avoid the massive beast from pulverizing him, but also powers that it can use thanks to all of our main characters. 4 issues in, and aside from the 2 new guys who didn't even want to join you, and the chick that every politician wishes they could kidnap, you proved useless. Solid. Apollo ends up very, very, very conveniently landing right in Midnighter's vicinity, causing a mini crater, also garnering unwanted attention, so Midi is able to briefly have it distracted, while he smacks Andrew to his senses and contacts Projectionist in the EOS, so they can work out a plan that involves lining up a solar weapon aboard the Eye, which blasts Apollo back up to full power. With no time to waste, Midnighter points him in the right spot, and he beams through a portion of the creature, releasing the Stormwatch members. Don't even think about asking me how that makes sense. Again, with no time to waste, Jack tries to speak with a dormant city beneath them, which he did try last issue unsuccessfully, but after sensing it again, he tries this time and connects with the spirit of Alba Umbra. Alba is Scottish Gaelic for Scotland, and an Umbra means the darkest part of a shadow. The only sense of this I can make is Paul Cornell also wrote Demon Knights Volume 1 that had a city called Albacetum in it, and maybe they were connected. Anyway, Jack is said to not be the first king of cities, and then hears mentions of beasts that killed Alba Umbra's people. Another very intriguing point that we're probably never going to hear about more of. But after stern words, the city awakens looking rather fantastical. Adam 1 seems to have nothing to offer anymore, just rambling a bit now, so Engineer starts calling the shots thanks to info that Jack was given. The city holds ancient alchemy powers that can transform things, So, Manhunter, Midnighter, and Jack accompany Jenny Q to a special chamber while everyone else runs interference on the monster. Jenny then uses one of her powers to activate a device that turns their enemy into crystal glass. Damn, that was a lot to take in, especially the part about ancient magic cities working as highly convenient plot devices laying dormant in rural America. Lastly, the whole team gets teleported with exclusive tech they use called doors, and they end up back on the EOS where Adele awaits them with one of their bosses, a humanoid piece of the galaxy. Damn, this is a... Wait, I already said that. Issue number 5 begins with the one boss of Stormwatch, who are called the Shadow Cabinet, exiling Adam 1 into a glowing pit in slightly haunting fashion due to him apparently failing as leader. So that means a new one must be chosen. The Shadow Cabinet member goes through the team, first disarming Engineer's suspicions with a cute little nose touch, makes bad sexual jokes when speaking to Jack. Oof. Martian Manhunter has a bit to say to his boss along the mysterious lines, being the only one that knows what the Shadow Cabinet really is. The same can't be said for Harry, with even the Shadow Cabinet members saying they know little about him. Jenny is just a child, so that leaves Projectionist, who gets called out for being a murderous criminal in her past and then is elected leader. Seems pretty logical. With this not-so-democratic decision done, Boss Thing heads out as it's noticed Apollo and Midnighter cut the scene, along with an emergency alert going off. Our two newcomers are making their way through the Eye of the Storm, giving us a look at Midnighter's face, which I found out later was quite a rare occurrence, plus he says Apollo can call him Lucas. No, that's not his real name. While they check out Stormwatch's souped-up alien invader GPS, the emergency alarm is also noticed by them, so Apollo heads out into hyperspace for recon, but Midnighter suspects that something's up on the inside and quickly finds Tanner stealing Stormwatch data files, sparking one of the best parts of this book. Two seemingly even-matched and well-established badasses going toe-to-toe. Each land a single hit, however Adele interrupts, which Harry uses to his advantage, grabbing her and then hitting an airlock switch, sending them off the eye. Right in time too, because Manhunter and everyone else discover Harry has set up a trap bomb inside the secret horn from earlier issues, and when it blows, so does the entire vessel, into millions of pieces. Issue number 6 finishes up this volume, beginning with the EOS completely exploding, meaning its systems are down, and all the team members are doing whatever they can to survive it. Midnighter has the best luck, being rescued by Apollo as they return to a semi-safe spot, but as this happens, it is seen that the wing of some military briefly caught their activity near Earth, which gets reported to a general, who says if it happens again, missile it and then assault it. Sounds logical. Hawksmoor ends up saving everyone's behinds by contacting the city entity inside the Eye, due to part of it having been made into one, since if he's not in one, he becomes sick and weak. The thing is, a Daemonite is responsible for this city. That alien group come from Wildstorm, also created by Jim Lee and Brandon Choi in Wildcats #1, August 1992. They were main players in Voodoo and Grifter, while here, this one claims it was enslaved, but Jack does not care, and thanks to a power boost by Engineer, he can stand tall against the Daemonite and make a deal with it. Fix the Eye, and it'll be given a voice among the place. For highly vague reasons, the Daemonite accepts this deal, repairing the Eye of the Storm in no time, with everyone safely returning inside, except Jenny needs brief medical attention. Angie and Midnighter next discuss what they're gonna do to Harry when they find him. Meanwhile, Apollo and Manhunter investigate the giant horn used to nearly waste them all. There's also some contemplative things getting mentioned about John's Justice League time here, and this is something that I wish got more attention. Everyone meets up later to quickly elect Engineer as their new leader, along with Apollo and Midnighter officially joining up. Their first order of business now involves special Stormwatch caches that have become known to them now, but this plot line doesn't really go anywhere. So, on to the last page. Harry is seen with Adele, who says their teammates will have to save the world before coming after them. Probably not, though. Alright. The dialogue was okay. No one was verbally outstanding nor underwhelming. There was a lot of explanation speech about everyone's various abilities and backgrounds, along with what Stormwatch even is and does. All this was paired alongside a hearty dose of sci-fi elements. The way Jenny Q's powers are explained is kinda interesting, kinda stupid. If they come from 21st century knowledge, that means a multitude of things we wouldn't even understand. Just because certain things haven't been discovered and documented in order to be deemed possible doesn't mean they don't exist. Also, only marginally hinting that Apollo and Midnighter are homosexual while also liking each other instead of letting it be front and center was a bit lame. One other thing I did notice is many people picked up this comic because of Martian Manhunter. However, it would be a decent amount of time into the New 52 before he reached high potential in this department. Moving along to the art, it is luminous, layered, packed with little details. Some of the characters got new designs. I'll leave the better or worse decisions for y'all. Others kept their regular designs, but I did like how everyone had their own look going on, from capes to tuxedos. Quite eclectic. I will say that Jenny being Asian was not easily noticeable. Does that really look like a young Asian girl? Be honest with me. Now, I kept those art comments brief since there's a good amount of plot to discuss. I felt like it didn't get too wild right out of the gate here because bigger crossovers and appearances of the team all over the event later on would cover that. You have to admit, there was a lot of super secret clandestine groups in this universe, but Stormwatch claiming to be the biggest, oldest, and at the top of the food chain definitely warrants them to be involved in everything. Problem is, they're not. Sure, they popped up here and there for big threats, but what about Paraxis in Justice League International, the World Killers in Supergirl, the Daemonites in Voodoo, Reach Technology in Blue Beetle, Lantern Corps members in every color invading Earth? And these are just some examples from Volume 1s I've covered already. My point is, the magnitude of things this team needed to do was not met. Even the horn from earlier issues, if that's supposed to be the one from Superman Volume 1, it don't match up in its appearance. Aside from all that, this book does have a few opening intriguing factors, balancing the whole get to meet the characters while taking on their first big foe. Like I said earlier, it was leaving the door open for more ambitious things that unfortunately never really came. That's gonna wrap up things for today though, so if you have watched until the end here, I want to personally thank you for that, and to please like, share, and subscribe. Please follow me on all my social media platforms, and to please join me next time for the Resurrection Man Volume 1.